Jai Sadgurudev. Welcome to the Surveyed Made Easy session. My name is Vijay and I'm joining from Edison, New Jersey. We have gathered here to begin a set of sessions, the purpose of which is to enable us to be able to understand Surveyed when we read it ourselves. The byproduct of this session is also that we become more aware of the spirituality and the depth of the spirituality, because the entities that will be discussed in this series will in a way also enlighten us about the basics of spirituality. So to begin the session, as we always do in Vihangam Yoga, we call upon Sadguru power to bless us. If we have
Sit, Luna.
yeah, so if we have Isha ji online, please begin the session with the Swagat Gan.
Thank you, Vijay ji. Jai Sadgurudev to all of you. Swagat Gan. आज स्वागत नित्य गुरुवर संत शुभागम आइए अध्यात्म विद्या दिव्य ज्योति सोमरस बरसाइए दोष दुर्गुण दूर करके शुद्ध हंस बनाइए भेद गम गति ज्ञान गर्जन शक्ति द्वार हटाइए खुले द्वारा सप्त सागर भक्त जन अनवाइए जन सदा फल विश्व शिक्षक शान आन बचाइए आज स्वागत नित्य गुरुवर संत शुभागम आइए बोले सद्गुरुदेव भगवान की जय बैक टू विजय जी
Thank you very much, Guru Bhan Isha ji. We are so very fortunate that we are living in a community, a virtual community, which is spreading only the positivity, the righteousness, to each other. So each one of us are inspired by each one of us. It's like that. To stay positive in spiritual world, to stay positive in spiritual practice. And that's what exactly is the purpose of these sessions. Today, we are going to begin a series, a new series, SME, Surveyed Made Easy, which will run for 30 minutes each week, 30 minutes each Sunday, 3 o'clock. And not only I want to present the vocabulary from Surveyed, which will make it easy for you to understand. At the same time, I also want active feedback from all the active Surveyed readers who find something difficult to understand in Surveyed. I want to include those topics as we go in this series. So those who have Swarved in their home, I request them to start reading Swarved so that you can use this opportunity to make your reading smooth. And wherever you are stuck, you make a note of it. Any term you don't understand, make a note of it and send that through WhatsApp to either Vihangam Yoga WhatsApp number or to me in person, whatever way you feel comfortable. You can also share in daily meditation group that will, allow other people also to know that, okay, these are the things which will be taken up in later sessions. So the idea is that when we have a treasure in front of us, why not make the best use of it? The treasure trove of spirituality is the Swarved. So let's open it. We are going to open Swarved from today and try to understand what it is and what are the things that we need to learn to be able to understand Swarved better. So welcome again. My name is Vijay. I'm joining from Edison, New Jersey. First of all, let us try to understand what is Swarved. Swarved is an expression of the real spiritual experiences of the author who wrote it. So who wrote Swarved? Of course, we all know it. It is written by none other than Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj, who studied only till class 3, right? Who was not educated, but he happened to write the encyclopedia of spirituality called Swarved. Through what he saw in his meditational experience. So he did not need to study languages to refer any book. But what he needed to do was just to go inside and then at the conscious plane, just experience all the wisdom the way rishis used to do in ancient time. We have heard that who are rishis? Rishis are those Rishyo Mantra Drashtara who used to see the wisdom of mantra in their experience. And then they used to document it in the form of mantra. So Rishyo Mantra Drashtara. Rishis see the mantra. So similarly, this Swarved, all the dohas are spiritually charged doha. And one of the very divinity, the example of the divinity of Swarved is that, they are disciples whose association with Swarved is not from this birth, but let's say from previous birth. And even in this birth, these dohas will start running in their consciousness. Such is the divinity of Swarved dohas. This has direct connection with our soul. Our soul gets attached to these dohas. And that's why Swarved is a liberator for us. Swarved is the wisdom of Paravidya. It is about liberating the soul from the bondages. So what does Swarved literally mean? Swarved is made of two words, Swaha plus Ved. Swaha plus Ved equal to Swarved. So what does Swah mean? Swah means the Atma, or Swah means even the deeper self, which is the Paramatma, which is within the Atma. And Ved means the knowledge. So Swarved, by this etymology, we can understand Swarved is the wisdom of the self and the supreme self. Swarved is the wisdom, Sarved is the wisdom about the self and the supreme. And that is why Sarved is called the encyclopedia of spirituality. Anything which has to be experienced on the basis of the spirit is called spirituality. And Sarved is the expression of the same experience, which is very divine. Please try to feel the effect of Sarved if you can read Hindi. It is written in Hindi. If you really want to change your spirit, if you really want to transform your aura, your persona, if you really want to become spiritual, then this one epic, this one encyclopedia is enough for you to transform from materialistic to make you spiritual. Sarved is the encyclopedia of spirituality that imparts wisdom about the self and the supreme. It has six cantos, 6 mandals. You know, each of the mandals have several chapters, and each of the chapters have several dohas. So total doha count is 3,923. And these 3,923 dohas are the expressions, are the pearls, the diamonds of the wisdom, which has directly come out of the experience at the level of Chetan Samadhi of Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj. Sadguru Dev wrote this in union with Almighty. So these are the words of Brahma Vidya. These are the words of Paravidya. These are the words of a yogi who was in union, who is in union with Almighty. So Doha count was 3,923. And there are several subjects which are touched in Swarved. Name a subject in spirituality, it is there in Swarved. And that is why you will find that the depth of wisdom that a Vihangam yogi will go to while discussing any subject of spirituality will always feel the others will feel it going tangent to them, because they have not heard the spirituality in so much of depth. They think that these are, I think, very abstract theory. It will start appearing abstract to them because it just goes above their head. Such is the depth of Sarved. But if you are able to really experience them, go through them, if you understand the basics, then the effect will be opposite. When a Vihangam yogi look at the other spiritual text, it looks very shallow because it is so periphery. It is written by just a mere mental exercise, intellectual exercise. So a Vihangam yogi is able to understand it, that the author has just applied their mental gymnastics to come up with this article that he wrote. It is not the expression of the true experience. A Vihangam yogi gets that scale to measure it. What is a direct experience and what is mere a mental gymnastics? So the subjects this is just a fraction of the subject because I didn't have space to document all of it here. So I could write only this much: mind, soul, consciousness, karma, bondages, maya, meditation, devotion, samadhi, purpose of life, creation and dissolution, bliss, kundalini, chakra. And then I had to put everything in one bracket because there are thousands more to be documented here. Every Doha of Svarved brings up something new. You have 3,923 pearls of wisdom. You can understand how important it is for us to be able to learn and understand Svarved. So Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj mentioned in the beginning of the Svarved itself that this Svarved is about the 6 entities that exist in this entire cosmos and beyond. There are nothing beyond these 6 entities. You can say everything else that exists are related to these 6 entities. For example, soul, the Atma, is one of the entity, and the body of the Atma is related to it. The karma of the Atma is related to it. The bondage and the mukti are related to Atma. So when we say Atma is discussed in Svarved, it simply means it is not only about Atma, but it also discusses about all the 6 dehas of the Atma. It also discusses about how the Atma comes or falls from the land of immortality to this mortal land. What are those phases through which Atma goes and travel back to the land of immortality? Everything about Atma. What is Atma? What are the different types of the disciples, the human beings who follow Brahma Vidya? What are the different nature of a being? Different kind of species. Everything related to Atma is what Swamiji wrote in one word, that this Svarved discusses about Atma. Similarly, this Svarved also discusses about Akshar Brahm. When we say Akshar Brahm, this includes all acts of the Akshar Brahm. What are the things that Akshar Brahm conducts in this universe? When you go into deep sleep, who runs our breath? It is Akshar Brahm. When the Srishti, the creation, is not there, who imparts the vibration, the initial vibration for creation to begin? It is Akshar Brahm. And there are a lot more. The fire, the water, the winds, who imparts energy to them? Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj has a series of chapters that discusses about Akshar Brahm, how the Akshar Brahm is in every pores, every minutest coordinate of this universe. He is omnipresent. And then this Svarved also discusses about Sadguru. Who is Sadguru? How many types of Sadguru? How Sadguru comes to this mortal land? In what different ways he comes down to this mortal land? How he is different from all other worldly gurus? What is so special about Sadguru? It also discusses about Paramatma and everything about Paramatma. So these are the 4 conscious entities: Atma, Akshar Brahm, Sadguru, and Paramatma. These are conscious entities. When we say conscious entities, probably we do not perceive what conscious entities truly mean. The moment we say conscious entities, it simply means somebody, something that have the power of interaction with you, who can reflect upon, who can see, who can witness your actions. For example, if you perform anything, I can see it, you are doing this action, I can feel it, because I am also a conscious entity. Akshar Brahm can also see your actions, he can feel your action. Sadguru can see your actions, every action that we do, good or bad. Sadguru can constantly see it, because his energy is everywhere. and so is Paramatma. So conscious entities are those who have the sensation, who are live entities. We perceive live entity only with blinking eyes, with eyebrows rising up and down. No, those are just the physical expression of a live entity. But those conscious entities do exist without body. Atma exists without body. It's just that today we have come into a being, into a species, and we have a physical expression of who we are. But we do have a conscious expression. We do have a conscious act. So is Akshar Brahm. Akshar Brahm, for Akshar Brahm, this whole universe is his body. Whole universe. This entire universe is the body of Akshar Brahm. If there is any motion in this Akshar Brahm, you can perceive it by the motion in this universe. You see that this whole universe, whole galaxy is actional. It is actional because there is a doer in this entire body of universe, and that doer is Akshar Brahm. So is Sadguru. Sadguru's energy is everywhere, and yet he shows mercy and then bestow his energy upon a chosen soul to make it physically approachable for us. He makes a physical form of Sadguru, the Vyakt form of Sadguru, by choosing a great soul on this land or by several other means. So all those mysteries, how Sadguru is in two form, the Vyakta form, the physical form, the human form, and Avyakta form, which is the real form of Sadguru, the conscious form of Sadguru. These are all discussed in Svarved in great details. Atma, Akshar Brahm, Sadguru, Paramatma. It also discusses about an eternal entity called Prakriti. I'm talking about all the eternal entities. It discusses about Prakriti. It says Prakriti is the term which is synonym to Parmanu, Maya. These are all synonym words. So Prakriti is the most fundamental atom, the fundamental ingredient of everything which is created in this physical world. And so Prakriti is also the eternal entity. The first time I could understand this only when I read Svarved. I always thought that everything is perishable. Whatever you see in this physical world, everything is perishable. Don't we all have that impression? That everything that we see in this world is perishable. These are all called asatya. These are all illusions. This will vanish. But see, only a yogi who have seen the creation to happening, who have seen the creation dissolving, he can experience what does it dissolve to and how it is made. What is the process of making of the universe? Only those rishis can also have reached to the realm of Parmanu Mandal, where there is the store of Parmanus. And those Parmanus, those fundamental atoms, are utilized for making the five basic element of creation called the Akash, the Vayu, the Agni, the Jal, the Prithvi. So Svarved discuss about the eternal entity called Prakriti, which is the only inert entity. And all other creation which you see as inert is made of this Prakriti. And then it clarifies that Prakriti by itself is inert and eternal, but the creation of the Prakriti is ephemeral, perishable. The creation is perishable, not the ingredient of the creation. And then the sixth entity it also discusses about is the Kal. So everything about Prakriti, whatever happens in Prakriti, the process of creation, the process of dissolution, what is Prakriti, what are the fundamental elements through which every other element of creation is made of, things are discussed in Svarved. And then there are things discussed which is left for only experience. For example, it also hints about how the future is made. Where is future made? How the future becomes the present? What is the other half part of the Akshar Brahm, which is not there in this realm of universe, but it is hidden in the realm of Paramatma. There are several deep secrets which were left as the question in Atharvaved. Svarved also answers them. The only epic in the entire universe that answers those very secret questions which were left as questions in Atharvaved. No other scripture in the entire universe have answered those questions. It is Svarved where when Sadgurudev said that Purna Rupamay Janata Brahma Chakra Vistar, he said, I have known every element of this universe. And with his experience, he then, with his authority, he answers those questions which were left as questions in Atharvaved. And that is why it is said that even at those subjects where Vedas become silent, it is in Sadguru's Upadesh, it is in Sadguru's wisdom where you get the answers for everything. Thake Muni Jan Pandita Vedana Pave Par. The one where even Vedas will become silent because words cannot explain. So Veda just stops there. And that is where Sadguru comes into picture, and he enlightens the seekers with those wisdom which cannot be documented and which is not documented in Vedas as well. So in a nutshell, Svarved discusses about these six entities: Atma, Akshar Brahm, Sadguru, Paramatma, Prakriti, and Kal, and all of their actions. This creation is also an action of Paramatma and Akshar Brahm. So it discusses about everything around them. So when we read Svarved, you'll find a word called Nitya Anadi in the beginning itself. So when we hear or when we read the word Nitya Anadi, we must be very clear about it. Nitya means eternal, and Anadi means one that has no beginning, meaning something that is not born, that okay, from today onward this has become eternally existing. No, there is no beginning at all. There is no beginning of Prakriti. There is no beginning of soul. There is no beginning of Akshar Brahm. No beginning of Sadguru. No beginning of Paramatma. Paramatma did not make Atma. Paramatma did not make Akshar Brahm. Paramatma did not make Sadguru. Paramatma did not make Prakriti. Paramatma did not make Kal. They are all eternally existing. The soul eternally exists. It is just that we dissolve ourselves into Paramatma and then we separate ourselves from Paramatma. But our existence never ceases to exist. And that is why Sadguru Dev has explicitly used both terms. He could have used only Nitya, but he had to add Anadi also into it just to clarify this. That these 6 entities which are listed here are not only the eternal entities, but these are the entities which are existing forever. It is existing since no beginning. There is no beginning for it. It is there, there, and there in all the past, present, and will be there in all the future. Nitya Anadi. So when you hear this word Nitya Anadi, you must understand by this Sadgurudev means something which is eternally existing without any beginning. There are some fundamental vocabulary that we must be very clear about, because these things will appear in several places in Swarved. So when it says Jad, Jad means inert. When it says Chetan, Chetan means conscious. It will have at various places it will have a word, something called Jad Padarth, Jad Tattva. So Jad Padarth, Jad Tattva, meaning all the inert entities, different created inert entities to say. And when it says Chetan Padarth, Chetan Tattva, meaning it is talking about one of these 4 conscious entities, or the several other related consciousness that is either related to soul or to Akshar Brahm or to Sadguru or to Paramatma. There are several things which are also conscious in nature, but they are related. For example, what binds, what connects or keep the soul always connected to Paramatma. Even today, we are not separated from Paramatma. There is a stream of Brahma energy which is connecting us, which is imparting consciousness in the soul all the time. What is that thread which connects the soul with the Supreme Being? That is called Makartar. So Makartar is also a conscious thread. So there are several related other conscious entities too, apart from these 4 conscious entities, the Mool conscious entities. So Jad Padarth meaning the inert entities, the Chetan Padarth meaning the conscious entities. So Jad entities are inert by itself. They have no life by itself. If it appears lively, moving, responding, it is only because there would be some conscious entities governing that body, the inert body. Okay, so Jad entities are those, how to identify Jad entities, you can simply look upon these 3 attributes: desire, knowledge, and potential to act at will, not by programming. You program a software, it will start responding, but you need a programmer, a conscious entity called programmer, to put a program into a software. So the Jad entities are those who cannot just do things at will, but it will do things as programmed, but not at will. But Chetan entities are those who have own desires, knowledge, and the power of actions at will. And it has Chetan Swarup, meaning it is a form of a conscious light. Chetan Swarup means not a physical shape, but it is in the realm of consciousness. You will feel it as the degree of consciousness. So it is a different dimension in which it is experienced. It is experienced in the degree of consciousness. How conscious the entity is, that is how it is experienced if you talk about the form of a conscious entity. So they have a form of a conscious light. How bright you are with the consciousness, that's how you will appear in the experience when one goes into experiencing consciousness. So these were the fundamental term for today, because the time is over. As we said that we will keep it only for 30 minutes or maybe at most for 45 minutes. We may probably will have to extend it to 45 minutes to cover any questions or any other queries that people would have from previous sessions or by reading Surveyed. So to cover all that, we can go for 45 minutes, because slowly we build up certain vocabulary which will be too much if we cover everything together in one day, right? So this concludes for today, and in this also gives an opportunity to anybody to ask any questions if they have started reading Surveyed. How many of you have started reading Surveyed for the first time, this year? And how is your experience reading Surveyed? Oh,
Hello, yeah,
yes,
Vijay
yes.
ji.
Please, Ranjini ji.
Yeah,
Yes.
Ranjini here. I started reading just 1 month back, Survey, and the
Wonderful.
first experience was I thought it was very tough, too tough to read, too tough to understand. Right.
Yeah.
But now, since the past 1 week, I think I'm getting that flow every day. I'm reading, so certain
Wonderful.
words I'm understanding.
Right,
So
right,
it
right.
is good. Now the experience is better. Earlier, I thought I wouldn't be able to read at
Yeah.
all. It was like too much for me.
Right. That also, it's something like when I was preparing for engineering, the very first test in the physics, I got zero but 100, 0 by 100, and that is when I kind of woke up. I thought, how can I get zero in physics? I have to do something to come in the best term in physics. And you know what? Then in my engineering preparation, the physics was my most favorite subject, because then I was able to get to a point where the toughest questions also became easy for me. It was like that. So it should challenge us. If we are not able to understand the words of Surveyed, it simply means we are so much behind learning spirituality. That means whatever we have been hearing so far in the story format, it is something like a small element that, because we are not able to understand that element directly, people have to tell a whole, length of story to make us understand a small element of spirituality. And that's what we have been doing so far. We have been hearing only stories and stories and stories, so that we can at least understand a little bit of it through those stories. But then it has slowed down our learning. We are so much down in our spiritual intelligence that it has slowed down our learning, because there's 3,000 923 mantras to learn. This is full of wisdom, and we have to speed up. So all all we need to do is what our Lal Maniji is a great inspiration for all of us. The way he did Surveyed was the few things he did, which is historical, remarkable, very inspirational for all of us. He wrote all Doha by himself by his hand, all Dohas. He wrote it in English words, English letters. But by doing that exercise, his family and Vinita ji, Lal Mani ji, he gave his heart, his soul to Surveyed. We need that much of tap to finally upgrade our spiritual intelligence to be able to comprehend it. The second thing he started doing was he started asking everything. What is Jad? What is Chetan? What is Surati? What is Nirati? Because One thing he was very clear, that what I do not know, I do not know. No ego in between, no pride in between of I know very much. I have been doing spirituality for so many years. Why should I ask question? I am already a big person. You know, so Sarved is the mirror for us to see where we stand in the field of spirituality. So we must feel inspired. We must feel that we have to start from zero. If we do not understand Sarved, that means look at, count our years that we have spent without knowing spirituality. I am 40 years old, turning 40 in this coming February. So if I am in that situation where I'm not able to understand Svarved, I will be in great urgency. I'll see that no matter what, I have to find time to try and understand what this very first letter of Svarved mean. I have to understand every word of Sarved, because there is no better opportunity than now, where you can understand spirituality in entirety, because the source of spiritual wisdom, the Sadguru himself, is with us. There is no better opportunity than now. So we must not lose the opportunity to just open up and ask questions when we do not know. Just accept what we do not know, accept with great humbleness, and say, I could not understand this word, please explain. You know, in that is the glory in the spiritual domain, that those who become so humble, who open up and accept their fault, they become most respectable in the spiritual world. Most respectable. Those who are most humble, those who are most, you know, who accept their fault and say that, see, I do not know. If one accepts that I am full of lust, I am full of anger, those who accept this, they become most respectable in the field of spirituality. So there is nothing to shy in the field of spirituality, provided we are ready to improve ourselves. So accept what our demerits are, accept and just try to correct it. So please, from next session onwards, please feel free to open up. We all have potential to become what Lal Maniji did. He is a great example for all of us. We all must put our sweat, our effort in understanding Svarved the way he did.
Vijayji?
Yeah.
It's a very maybe a stupid question, but like you were saying about Paramatma and Akshar Brahm, right? I'm a little confused. I just wanted to know, like you said, Akshar Brahm exists before anything existed. So is even Paramatma evolved from Akshar Brahm?
Okay, yeah, see, these are the questions. Very good. These are the questions we all must open up and ask. And please, no, none of these questions are stupid. These are very deep secret questions. I mean, these are the questions that very rare people will even, ask, because they don't even know what Akshar Brahm is, what Paramatma is, and what exists before and after. So please, please don't ever say that stupid questions. Nothing is stupid in this field of spirituality, because these are the things that we need to understand. So Akshar Brahm, yes, Akshar Brahm do exist eternally, but as I said, the moment there is a term called eternal, that there are 6 eternal entities. 6 eternal entities include the Akshar Brahm as well. If you saw the first slide, it says that you have Akshar Brahm, who is only one. There is only one Akshar Brahm. There is only one Sadguru. There is only one Paramatma. And there are infinite number of souls. So what does soul include? Soul include all the devas, all the deities. They also fall under the category of soul. Okay? But what is Akshar Brahm? Akshar Brahm is not, Akshar Brahm is not under the category of Dev Yoni. Akshar Brahm is not under the category of Manushya Yoni. No, and Akshar Brahm is not in the category of Jiva Yoni. He is not a Jiva. He is not a Deva. He is not a Yaksha. He is not a, the Kinnar. No, there are different kinds of divine entities. He is not that. Akshar Brahm is even beyond them. Akshar Brahm is the cosmic executor. Akshar Brahm is the one whose vibration is in this entire creation. It is the Akshar Brahm because of whose vibration the creation is happening. Everything is running functional in this world. The body of the Akshar Brahm is this universe, meaning universe cannot go beyond Akshar Brahm. Universe cannot go beyond Akshar Brahm. So you can understand how vast is Akshar Brahm. It is something like that. But this Akshar Brahm is just in one part of the Paramatma. Paramatma is even vaster than the Akshar Brahm. Paramatma is not only in this creation. So in this creation, there are two omnipresent entities that Sadhguru make us experience. Two omnipresent entities in this universe. First, Sadhgurudev makes us experience the Akshar Brahm, the omnipresent Akshar Brahm. And then he says, but what you are experiencing right now is not Paramatma. It is Akshar Brahm. It is having vibration, but Paramatma is free from vibration. And then after attaining the light of Akshar Brahm, we become capable to experience the light of Paramatma. So Paramatma exists, Akshar Brahm exists. As I said, in the first slide in this, that they are not the creator of each other because they always exist. Atma always exists. Akshar Brahm always exists. Sadhguru always exists. Paramatma always exists. Just that in the beginning of the creation, all the Parmanu, the Prakriti, was just in equilibrium without any interaction. So there was no creation. And when the Akshar Brahm appears from the Paramatma, where he is hiding himself in Paramatma, that is called the Gupta Avastha of Akshar Brahm, meaning the hidden state of Akshar Brahm. And from hidden state, when he will make his energy appear in the one quadrant of Paramatma, in the zone of creation, where he makes himself appear in that state, there is a reaction in Prakriti and the creation will start happening. So in the beginning, Akshar Brahm imparts the vibration and then creation happens. But it does not mean that the Akshar Brahm was born at that point of time. No, Akshar Brahm did exist even before that. Just that he was hidden in Paramatma. And then he appeared and the Srishti, the creation happens. So Paramatma and Akshar Brahm exist always.
It is just like a part of Paramatma, right?
Nothing is beyond Paramatma. Even we are also part of Paramatma, because Paramatma is permeating through everything. This creation is also part of Paramatma. It is something like this. If you go deep in the ocean, then everything is part of the ocean only. You go any coordinate, you see any living beings in the ocean, they are still in the ocean only. They are not separate away from the ocean. So is the state of Paramatma. The light of Paramatma is everywhere. We are within the light of Paramatma, either in the conscious form or in the physical form. We are within the Paramatma, within the light of Paramatma. Nothing is beyond Paramatma.
So then why did we separate, Vijayji?
Why did we separate? Yeah, so those are the questions. Those are the good questions. We'll cover that in the future sessions. So this concludes the session 1 today. Very nice questions. Please keep asking these questions. That's how we'll carry forward in this Svarved Made Easy. We'll keep touching all these fundamental questions and fundamental topics of Svarved. Thank you so much. We'll conclude with the Shanti part for this session. Thank you all. We'll keep joining at the same bridge line again next week as well, each Sunday. Yeah. Isha ji, please conclude with Shanti part.
Thank you, Vijay ji. Shanti Path. हे प्रभु शांति स्वरूप हो, शांति शांति में शांति, शांति शांति जन शांति हो, पूर्ण शांति में शांति। हे प्रभु शांति प्रदान कर, दूर हो सर्व शांति, देव सदा फल शांति में, शांति शांति सुख शांति। बोलिए सद्गुरुदेव भगवान की जय। बैक टू विजय जी।
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you all for keeping us inspired in this spiritual journey. All because of you, we are doing all this service. So it's definitely great. You're all great souls, great seekers. Thanks for being with us and showing all your patience. Thank you all. See you again next week, 3 o'clock. Jai Sadgurudev.